All right, so let's start out on the home page. And so basically, I guess I could just kind of walk through, starting from the home and working all the way through. The home page is unique because the content that's on the home page is most of it is editable directly on the home page itself. I mean, when you come in here to the site configuration area, you'll see that there's nothing there. So basically, if you go back out to the home page and then you click the pencil icon or edit content, then it'll enable the edit mode on several of these areas. And like the slideshow area, it looks a little strange, and it only looks this way to you as the admin, just in this mode. So you know how it looks that way. But let's go ahead and start there. If you double click the slideshow area, you'll immediately see the design portion of it, or how to edit that kind of the controls and add those kind of things. And then if you click on content, that's how you can upload all of the images that are used in the slideshow. And because these images all have like the hands overlay, then you know, I guess if you have new images that you'd like to do, I can do those for you. Or you know, if you want to use Adobe Fireworks, I do have the file with all the various houses that you can kind of click through. But again, you know, it's just one of those things that it's probably easier if you want me to do it than I can do that. So and the image size on those they're all 1000 wide by 528 high, so they all have to be exactly the same size to be able to kind of pull off this look. But anyway, so that's how you would edit the slideshow area. And then if we kind of come down here, this tagline here is actually a code block, and I have a specific script on here that's going to resize. So I guess, you know, if you need some changes to the sizing, or if you want to recreate that content, if it's going to say something shorter or longer, then we might have to make some adjustments. These three action areas are actually excerpts from other pages on the site. I'll show you how to access those in a second. And then the bottom portion of the site, or the site footer, has this varying, you know, this content with you know, here's like your latest tweets and things like that. So so let's go ahead and talk about these three areas, or actually let's go into the back end and look at the pages, or the navigation. So underneath main navigation, you'll see pages and a few folders. And by the way, if you're ever in the admin mode and you want to view the site, I usually make like a new tab to do that, because then you can kind of go between like the admin area and then just hit the tab and see kind of how things are looking. But so here's those folders. Our practice and for patients are both folders. So you can collapse these and expand them in here if you want. I mean, it's just kind of a way to kind of organize some content. But actually on the main navigation, those are more than organizational. They actually are functional. That's your drop-down menu. So you would add pages to that drop-down is how that works. So then each page has individual content, of course. I've used an H1 heading on every page title, so that, you know, we just want to be consistent with that, because that is a key contributor to your SEO. Would be that structure and being consistent with that structure. So as search bots would come through the site, they would look at that same structure, and it's like important to have that be consistent. So as long as you start the page with like the H1, and then you can put a block of text, then you can put like an H2. You can kind of build it in that sort of way. So you just kind of always remember that an H1 is the biggest, H2 is second biggest, and then it keeps going down. So then, as far as adding content on Squarespace, basically, I think most all the pages that we have set up, if we come here to configure page, we're using one sidebar. So if I hit cancel and go, I'm not going to hit preview, I'm going to go like this. So if we're going to go to a different kind of practice, then we'll see we have a sidebar here, and that selection one sidebar, any page that has that same selection is going to share the same content site-wide. So you can bring another sidebar in, and then use content there as well. So we could select two sidebars, hit save, and if we refresh out here, then it'll be over here. So if you have other content, like other marketing information or something like that, that maybe is unique to just a few pages, then you could add that content. And if you go to that edit mode with that pencil, then you can bring in the content for that particular sidebar. But it won't be unique. I mean, it's going to be used site-wide, is how that works. So I will go back here, page settings, and we'll just put that back on one sidebar. Hit save. There are two pages that right now we're using full width or no sidebars, and that would be the home page and then the location page. And the only reason why I did that was because on that location page, it's just kind of I don't know. I thought it would kind of make it a little more cluttered if there was a sidebar there. So right now it's kind of focused. You got a map. You can put driving directions. You can kind of do whatever you want there. I mean, so you could really bring back that sidebar if you want to, just as an example. So now let's go back to the home page, and so we talked about how these three action areas are excerpts. So let me show you how those work. So let's go to the Who We Are page. And actually, I'll just go in here and edit. So the image that's here, even though it is the exact same image, that's not what's appearing out on the home page. What's going out to the home page is here under settings and then configure page, and there's the text that appears out there, and then down here is the thumbnail. So Squarespace allows you to add this same excerpt kind of content to every page, and even your blog. I mean, you would have the same page configuration on a blog, so you can also pull that out there, and that's how we have the existing homepage blog content. That's in the lower right. Over here is blog, and then this is just kind of a page, and this is also a page. I guess while we're in here, let me show you really quickly on this white circle. I don't know if you've noticed this on other photos or not, but this is called the focal area, or it's the sweet spot of the photo. And how this works is it's always going to center as best as possible on that white circle. So if I put that down here on that top button on your shirt, and we want to say that's the important part of the photo, then if I hit save, then if I come back out here to the home page, refresh it, and then we'll see instantly that that photo is now centered on the button that's on the shirt right there. So if the photo is used, this is kind of like a tablet kind of width, and you can see that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now, but it was intentional. We actually want this to happen, so it's actually doing a crop to the photo is what's happening. We probably want to change that back, so we can go to page settings, and usually if it's a person's face, then I try and put that kind of on the nose, or like right between the eyes usually, but it just kind of depends. I always go out and refresh it and try and make sure it's going to look appropriate. All right, so that's how the excerpt works, and on that particular page, we're saying, this is who we are, and here's like kind of teaser kind of content, and then what I've done is I've added a link at the end of that brings us back to the actual page. By default, when you add these blocks, they actually are automatically linked. So if I click the image or the title, then those go directly to that page. But people might not know that. So if you put in little text help in there, then they'll click on that. So and how that works is basically you type the word more right here, and if I highlight that text and I hit the link, then I want to link that to existing content, and then who we are. So we're basically linking back to the same page, and we just hit save. Then you can obviously edit this content on the page however you want. Technically there are 12 columns, so there's like a grid here when you move content, there's like 1/12 right there. There's probably 6 right there because it's half. So if you just kind of, once you learn that, then it becomes a lot easier to kind of figure out how things are going to work. And then so you would have 12 columns available here, but then we're out on the actual page, there's also the sidebar content that would subtract from the rest of that. So it can get a little confusing, but it doesn't have to be. It's just basically like a visual representation of your content is probably the easiest way to do it. And then if you're ever in doubt of how it's going to look, just go out to the website and kind of refresh and kind of see how things look. So that's how that works. Let me show you how that homepage block kind of thing works, that summary type block. I have a directory here that says don't delete. It's basically a script that I've added, but not a big deal. I mean you actually can delete this now. It's not critical at this point, because what I did is I uploaded this file, and then I got the link, and then I injected that elsewhere. But let me show you how these blocks work. So a blog, you would use a summary. Like if we want to pull in a number of posts somewhere, then we can go ahead and use a summary block. And so on the home page right now, I have this dialed down to 1, and then I can hit save there, and so we're full width here. If that's the only thing that's going to go on this page, then that's cool, but it might look a little weird in this case. So we might go ahead and what we could do is add a space block, which is kind of a nice tool to use. It's going to do exactly what you think it's going to do. It's going to add space, and it's adjustable space as well. So we can go ahead and take up like a third for that or something like that, and then to get every other page, as long as there is that excerpt content, as long as there's a thumbnail and a description, or just the description or just the thumbnail. I mean, you don't have to have, I don't even think you need that. I think you can just link to any of these pages, but there wouldn't be anything. So we could say like collection link, and like here's older musings, which is one of the pages that you had. So there's no excerpt on it, so it just would do the title. But here's the Who We Are page, the one with your face on it. So we'll go ahead and select that one, and just by default, it's gonna just pull that directly in, and you can see that, you know, it's again using that full width image. So we can drag this. Let's say we want to put it like right side by side there, and then we could kind of move things around to make everything fit. So that's how those work. And so this content, it's going to ride along with this summary each time we use it. And if I want to delete these now, I could just right click, say remove, and coincidentally, or also, let me go and remove this space block too. Edit spacer. You'll see that when this image is full width like that, it looks a little chunky. It's because that actual photo that I found and used, it's not a full resolution. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like a smaller image. So what we're doing is we're actually stretching it, and that's why it's going to look a little chunky there. So, you know, if you can have larger images, let's say, you know, if you want to say like 1,000 pixels wide or something like that on all your photos, that would be ideal, because then if they ever would span the full width, then they'll just look great. Not critical, because it's still going to look okay in this mode. I mean, it doesn't look horrible, but you can see when it's smaller, it looks fantastic right there. Anyway, so let's go and delete. I'll delete that one now. All right, and so back on the home page then. This one's the blog, and then this is the Who We Are page, and then patient links is a little different, although it's working the exact same way. So if I go here to, I think it's in this directory. Yep, patient links. Formatting is sometimes a little weird in here. So sometimes there's actually, you know, extra space and stuff that gets added. So it just takes a little bit of tweaking anyway. So what's happening here then is on this excerpt, I have this actual bulleted content. And how I did that is I actually created the content just like this. So you could use like a text block, and then go ahead and add like your bulleted list, and then you go ahead and format that, and then I added the links to it. So then, you know, I'll just say pound right there. So that's how that worked. And then I basically copied that, and then I just pasted it in there, and you can change the links once you're in here too. But that's just kind of a little hack thing that to get those to show up as actual bullets. And then the thumbnail. It's weird that thumbnail isn't showing. Interesting. Because it's there. It is there. So I don't know what was going on with that, but again, you have the focal point again, so I mean, you know what that's going to do. Then, so by default, when you're creating a new page, you would give it the navigation title and the page title. Page title is what's going to show up, on your topmost area of the browser. It's also going to show up, when you would appear on Google. That's your page title, and then the URL is separate. So you wouldn't want to ever change the URL, but like in this case, you could change this. Instead of patient links, you could say new patient links, or whatever you want to do. And even if I type it up here, it's not going to change the URL unless you go down and retype that. So that's kind of a nice thing. But on this particular layout, if we hit save here, you would always want to type the page title yourself with an H1. So that's how that's going to work. Okay, so we talked a little bit about links. I know we were discussing it on Basecamp just briefly, but basically, if you have any content that you want to add, let me go ahead and remove this. I'll remove all these here. And what I'm doing in this case is just removing the links to those. So right now what we have, if we go to this links page, is we've got this text content here. So there's no links on them. So what we could do in this case is if we highlight the text and then click the link, and then if you click files, and then you would add the plus sign. You do the plus sign to go get your files. And what was this thing? This was a text file. So I have this text. Yeah, there was a text. And so basically it uploads it. So it's not too difficult to do. It's just a matter of formatting it. And if the content ever changes, you would want to go back and re-add that. So let's say PDF files. Word doc. And this was just an image. So then if I just found an image called allergy, whatever, then you don't have to save the page. It'll save it for you. Refresh it out here in the world. And if we click like allergies, for example, there's the image. Text file, I think it's going to download that. It happens in different ways with, just depending on what the browser settings are going to do. Not sure what the PDF, I guess it'll open a PDF just because that's what my browser will do. So then something else to know is we've uploaded some files. So now in this case we want, let's say we want to add another thing here, but it already exists somewhere else in the site. What we can do is highlight that, and then if we say files, existing file, then as long as you know the name of it, you can go get it. So I could say allergy again or whatever. So that's how that works. So if you upload a new patient file here, and this is kind of like your dedicated downloads area, and then if you're in the blog and you're writing about something, you might want to reference that same document by highlighting some text and adding a link to it. Piece of cake. Over on the navigation area, so main navigation is what appears visibly up in your navigation area. Not linked means it's just not linked. So you could put whatever content you want over here, and if you want to let the world know about it, then you just put a link to it. So like contact page, which I guess we still have to bring the contact page into play. Actually, if we said we could move, let's say we want to put the blog in our practice. I don't know if that's a good move or not, but we have limited space out on the menu, so there we go. I guess this is kind of set up right now with as kind of default Squarespace stuff. So we can go in and change all that. This was the map, I believe. Oh, that's the actual image. So we'll probably just remove that. And this is also an image. And then you can do your address here. If you want to put your own map, then you can just drag that in here and put your address. I'm going to remove that. So, then as far as the actual form, if you double click the form, you'll see all the form settings. You can add a whole number of things in here, and then the actual form function, when someone would submit the form, you can set up the email. Right now it looks like it's going to email to you. You can set up a MailChimp account, so if you want to have a separate form for newsletter, you can do that and it would write it to MailChimp, or you can set up like a spreadsheet on Google Docs. I don't believe you can do all three. I think you can only do one. It's like a toggle. That might be changing, but right now I think you can only do one of the three. Oh, and then advanced is after you submit it. I mean, you can actually say what to call the submit button, and then you'd put your message right there and it would show up on the page immediately afterwards. I wonder why I can't click off that. Anyway, so there's contact page, and since we have probably different widths now, I might have to do a little bit of CSS. Oh, maybe it's gonna work. Nice. Okay. So anyway, the pages that aren't linked, these are previous pages that you had already on the site. So, I can help you figure out what the next step is with those. But for example, if you wanted, maybe on the website you want to put a link down here, maybe down where your latest tweet is or something like that. Maybe you would have a lighter side or something like that, what you want to call it, and you want to add like a link here. You could actually link to one of those pages or another landing page or something like that, that you could bring people in and show them more of your writing and photography and then just different things like that. So there's definitely ways to do it. It's just a matter of kind of organizing that content and doing it is what it's all about. I guess I don't think there's anything else. I mean, as far as the back end of the site, there's all the settings here. There's general settings you can add if you have a Google Analytics account. I think everything else, you could you'll probably want to step through all these. Code injection is where I've injected some of the scripts that we're using on the site. And if you come out here to preview, and then paintbrush is style mode, and then if you click CSS over here, this is the actual style code that I've used to style the site. So I guess you don't want to delete this, but I've saved this locally as well, so I have like a backup of that. So that's kind of how that works. And when you're in admin and you switch around like that, sometimes it just loses that connection. But it's just you're the only person that would see it, just because it's logged in that way. Anyway, I guess I have. Oh, that's not 2 columns. That's built that way. So I guess if you have any further questions, just certainly let me know. Hopefully this was helpful, and I guess we'll be talking to you soon. Thanks.